Robert Fulton was born November 14, 1765, on a farm in Britton Township, Pennsylvania. Robert Fulton had four siblings, three sisters named Elizabeth, Isabella, and Mary, and a brother named Abraham, a father named Robert Fulton, and a mother named Mary Smith. Robert Fulton was recognized for his inventions and improvements on canals. In 1796, he built a canal boat. Torpedoes are also another example. Torpedoes have done the most damage in the ship called Dorothea, which he built in 1805. Submarines, which one of them called the Nautilus, which he built in 1800. And steamboats. His first ever steamboat invented was in 1807 called Clermont. Steamboats were an important part of Robert's life, but he didn't always like experimenting and building. At age 6, Robert had to move from the farm to Lancaster because his family had financial problems. He attended a Quaker school where he fell in love with painting and experimenting with chemicals. He spent most of his teenage years in Lancaster during the American Revolution learning about guns and explosions. When he was 16, he moved to Philadelphia to study painting, but as he started to continue, not a lot of his work survived. He didn't give up on his dream, though. He raised up enough funds to buy a trip to England and become a student at Benjamin West in 1787. Soon, Robert's interest in art was replaced with an interest in engineering. His first try in engineering was in 1794, when he planned to make larger canals for water transportation, but because they already existed in England, he proposed to dig larger canals and change canal elevation. But it failed in England, and he decided to try in France, but by the time he got to France, his interest was replaced with building submarines. Fulton designed a submarine called the Nautilus and sent a proposal to the French Navy to build it. The construction of the submarine was finished by June 3, 1800, and came out very successful. But then Robert Fulton suggested they use it against the British fleet, but the Navy declined, and soon Robert lost interest. Fulton's next interest was torpedoes. He designed many and would demonstrate the power of them by sinking French ships, but the USA Navy wasn't interested in funding the productions. Fulton returned to the USA in October 1806. When he was on his way back, the USA Navy started to use his torpedoes and experiment with them further, but his interest was already switched to steamboats. From hearing about other inventors and their experiments, he tried it himself in 1793. Over time, he tried many times to impress the French and have them say yes to his ideas, but they kept turning him down, even when he proposed to build a fleet of steamboats for Napoleon to carry the French troops. When Robert Fulton was in England for the second time, he started designing a steamboat that would operate on the Hudson River in New York. Using steam power for the ship, Fulton ordered a steam engine from an English company. When he came back from getting the steam engine, he had a partnership with a wealthy man named Robert R. Livingston. Robert Livingston helped Robert Fulton with building his first ever steamboat. The steamboat came out very successfully. Its first trip was up the Hudson River to Albany on August 17, 1807. My steamboat voyage to Albany and back has turned out rather more favorable than I calculated. The distance from New York to Albany is 150 miles. I ran it up in 32 hours and down in 30. I had a light breeze against me the whole way, both going and coming, and the voyage has been performed wholly by the power of the steam engine. I overtook many sloops and schooners, beating to the windward, and parted with them as if they had been anchored. The power of the propelling boats by steam is now fully provided. This was a huge success for Robert Fulton. He made many more steamboats, including the one that ran from Pittsburgh to New Orleans in late 1811. Robert died in New York City on February 24, 1815. He had many challenges, but he would always say, "The American dream of rags to riches is a dream for a reason. It is hard to achieve. Were everyone to do it, it wouldn't be a dream, but would rather be reality."